Over 4 million people visited Peru last year. Most of them will see this.
A crazy view, dude.
Almost none of them will see this.
Nosotros no estamos andando con machetes o con cuchillos.
We spent 5 weeks in Peru in the fall of 2025. We went for the obvious reasons. The mountains, the ruins, the canyons, the coast. And Peru delivered. But the longer we were there, the harder it became to just enjoy it. Because we started to notice a gap between what tourists experience and what the people who live there actually get from it. In our last video, we covered Peru's political crisis. 8 presidents in a decade. A Congress riddled with corruption allegations. That kind of instability doesn't stay in government palaces. It seeps into every aspect of life. It undermines everything Peruvians depend on, even how they manage one of their most valuable assets, tourism. Peru received over 4 million international visitors in 2025. Machu Picchu alone received over 1.5 million, matching its best year on record. That sounds like a success story, so why do locals keep blocking the train tracks? We're going to look at the scale of what Peru's tourism economy has become. A 30-year monopoly on the only bus route to Machu Picchu. The parallel economy running alongside the official one, and what all of it actually costs. Not for tourists, but for the people who actually live inside it. When you look at the numbers, Peru's tourism economy is thriving. By nearly every measure, it looks like a sector that has turned a corner. Nearly recovered from the pandemic, visitor numbers rising, almost all of them coming from right here in South America. Improvements across the board since 2024, getting closer and closer to what they had before the pandemic took it away. The numbers tell a story of an economy heading in the right direction. Sometimes numbers don't tell the whole story. In 2025, Peru welcomed 4,157,469 international visitors, a 4.1% improvement on their 2024 total. Impressive, but still only 78.8% of their pre-pandemic peak. 58.8% of these visitors came from within South America. Chile is the largest single source, sending over 1.28 million tourists. Ecuador, Bolivia, Brazil, and Colombia follow. Together with the United States, which ranks second overall with over 628,000 visitors, these 6 countries account for nearly 2/3 of all arrivals. A large portion of them are coming for one reason: Machu Picchu, one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Through the first 9 months of 2025, Peru's tourism ministry, Minsetur, confirmed over 1,170,000 visits, with 78.4% of them international tourists. Peru's Minister of Culture projected the full year would exceed 1.5 million. A significant recovery, but still, according to IPE, Peru's leading economic think tank, more than 20% below where Machu Picchu was before the pandemic. Tourism's importance to Peru's economy reflects these numbers. According to IPE, tourism contributes 3.5% of Peru's GDP and supports approximately 1.3 million jobs, directly and indirectly. In regions like Cusco and Puno, it is the single most important industry. And yet, the contrasts in Cusco are hard to ignore. Despite a decade of economic expansion in the early 2010s that brought the region's poverty rate down to 17.6%, growth slowed from 2015 onward. By 2024, Cusco's poverty rate had risen to 18.5%. IPE projected a 7% economic contraction for the region in 2025, citing a drop in visitors and the paralysis of more than 3,000 public projects across Cusco. In a region this dependent on tourism, that gap is felt. We sat down with Francis Cabrera, a Machu Picchu tour guide, and Jonathan Romero, a Cusco region business owner, to hear what that reality looks like from the inside.
¿Has visto un cambio en el turismo estos últimos 10, 5 años antes de la pandemia y después de la pandemia?
En sí el turismo ha ido creciendo bastante, mucho desde el 2007, en que fuimos considerados como parte de una de las 7 9 maravillas del mundo. Eso le dio un gran realce y un boom a lo que viene a ser a la ciudad. Y muy aparte, con el transcurso de los años, ya siendo declarados como mejor destino culinario, diferentes premios que se van logrando, hizo que antes de pandemia el número de turistas crece significativamente, casi llegando más del 1,5 millones.
Oh, sí.
Ya después de pandemia, lamentablemente, como pasó en muchas partes del mundo, se menguó la actividad y al regreso de pandemia fuimos afectados por fenómenos sociales, ¿no? La huelga que pasó el 2023, que nos afectó seriamente y causó mucha inestabilidad, pero ya poco a poco se va recuperando el terreno que teníamos hace años atrás, ¿no?
¿Hay más turistas ahora que el primero o menos?
Bueno, en estos 2 años que he estado trabajando en el turismo, sí ha incrementado, no mucho, pero sí ha incrementado un poco.
¿Tú dirías que esta zona en Cusco depende mucho del turismo o crees que en sí?
Dentro de la ciudad de Cusco, 70% casi de su actividad se desarrolla en el turismo, que es la actividad más dinámica,
Sí.
que es la que hace que el dinero sea más dinámico en general dentro de la economía, ¿no?
So, those are the numbers. Pretty impressive on paper. Peru seems to be trending upwards, back towards pre-pandemic numbers. Tourists are coming back. But the question isn't how many tourists are coming back. It's who is actually benefiting from the return of these tourists. The road to Machu Picchu isn't a road. It's a train track. There's a town at the bottom of the mountain, Aguascalientes. The train gets you there. From Aguascalientes, you take a bus up to the Citadel entrance. That bus route is the only motorized access to Machu Picchu, and for 30 years, one company controlled it. Whoever controls that access has the power here, and for decades, that power has sat with a small number of powerful interests. For 30 years, the bus route from Aguascalientes to the Citadel entrance was controlled by a single company, Concetur. Around 4,500 visitors a day moving through one bottleneck, one operator. Concetur has been running tours back and forth between Aguascalientes and Machu Picchu since 1995. The original contract was for 2 years, but through a series of extensions that Peru's Consumer Protection Agency, Indicopi, would later deem irregular, that 2-year contract became a 30-year monopoly. Concetur's own manager at the time alleges his signature was forged. He says he only ever signed for 2 years and nothing further. This contract expired in 2025, in the middle of an economy that was already struggling. Machu Picchu's visitor numbers are recovering, but the economic benefit isn't reaching the region. Between 2019 and 2023, Peru's tourism sector lost 300,000 jobs nationally, with the steepest losses concentrated in Cusco. And all the while, the infrastructure serving those tourists was deteriorating. According to IPE, citing Minsetor data, of the more than 1,000 prioritized tourist destinations analyzed across the country, 97% were found to be in inadequate condition. A 30-year monopoly expiring, a struggling regional economy, infrastructure in disrepair. The conditions were in place for what came next. Concetur's contract finally expired on September 4th, 2025. Immediately, things went south. Locals wanted representation in whatever came next. Transparency, community benefit, a fair process. What they got instead was a non-competitive contract awarded to San Antonio de Torontoy, a process that Peru's own contracting oversight body later found had bypassed the legal framework Peru's constitutional tribunal had ordered the municipality to follow. Locals felt shut out. And adding fuel to the fire, Concetur continued to operate despite their contract having expired. Within 2 weeks, the situation had escalated dramatically. Protesters blocked the roads to Machu Picchu in the train tracks, making it nearly impossible to get in or out. 1,400 tourists had to be evacuated overnight. 900 were left stranded in Aguascalientes. Protesters and police clashed. 14 officers were injured. The New Seven Wonders Foundation, the organization that awarded Machu Picchu its status as one of the New Seven Wonders of the world, sent a formal letter to Peru's government warning the site's credibility was at risk. Peru's Presidencia del Consejo de Ministros, the highest executive office below the president, stepped in. After more than 3 hours of negotiations, they brokered a deal. Torontoy and Concetur would each operate at 50% capacity for 120 days while a proper tender process was completed. Both sides agreed. It immediately fell apart. Torontoy had promised 9 buses. They could only provide 4. Concetur continued running its full fleet of 18. Roads were saturated. November brought more protests. Then the municipality of Urubamba annulled Torontoy's contract entirely, citing fraudulent documentation. Torontoy had listed vehicles in its bid that it didn't own. Some of those vehicles couldn't even be legally operated. And then things got even worse. On December 30th, 2025, a Peru rail train collided head-on with an Inca rail locomotive on the single rail track to Machu Picchu. 40 injured, 1 dead. The conductor. Today, Conceptor continues to operate, still with no contract. The route generates over 110 million soles a year. According to the mayor of Urubamba, Conceptor has never paid a single sol of that to the local municipality.
¿Por qué la gente aquí tenían estas manifestaciones? ¿Por qué estaban pasando?
Bueno, lo que yo tengo entendido es que la empresa de bus que trabajaba hasta este año, el contrato que tenía había vencido. Entonces, y la empresa que ya tenía que retirarse no se quiere ir.
Okay.
No se quiere ir, a pesar que el contrato ya terminó, no se quiere ir esa empresa. Supongo porque aquí generan mucho dinero.
Ya, claro.
Y hasta el momento siguen operando.
Sí, todavía es la misma empresa.
Sí, es la misma empresa, siguen operando.
¿Cómo los afectó a usted como guía esas huelgas en términos de subir a Machu Picchu, el turismo?
En sí lo que nos afecta en general es lo que causa la inestabilidad. Y la inestabilidad hace que simplemente sea una mala propaganda de Perú hacia afuera, ¿no? A consecuencia de muchos casos de tintes políticos hacen que cause toda una inestabilidad, ¿no? Cuando no se tiene las cosas claras, cuando no se tiene unas políticas claras de juego y reglamentación, hace que cause una inestabilidad en toda la región, ¿no?
¿Y puedes explicar un poco sobre esas protestas, lo que has visto?
Bueno, yo estuve aquí, yo venía con grupos aquí el momento en que hubo las protestas, la huelga, y lamentablemente era horrible esas casi un mes de protesta que hubo, que era horrible estar acá.
Ya.
Uno, porque clausuraron el tren y no había forma de traer alimentos acá a Machu Picchu.
Oh, wow.
Y todos los restaurantes y todos los lugares donde que abastecen comida para los turistas no tenían nada que ofrecer en los restaurantes.
The December crash returns to a few themes that we've been tracking: duopoly control and poor infrastructure. There's only one track connecting Ollantaytambo to Aguascalientes. 2 trains, opposite directions. The result? A head-on collision that killed an Inca rail conductor and injured more than 40 people, 20 of them seriously. It also left 2,000 people stranded, who had to wait approximately 12 hours to be evacuated. This wasn't the first collision on this line. In 2018, a similar head-on between trains operated by the same 2 companies injured 15 tourists. Now consider who owns those companies. LVMH, the world's largest luxury conglomerate, acquired Belmond in 2019. Through Belmond, LVMH has operational control of Peru Rail and a 50% stake in Ferrocarril Transandino, the company that owns the tracks themselves. The railway between Cusco and Machu Picchu carries approximately 3 million passengers a year. Meanwhile, Carlyle Group, one of the world's largest private equity firms, holds a majority stake in Inca Rail. Peru Rail, operated through LVMH's Belmond, holds approximately 74% of the passenger market on the Machu Picchu line. Carlyle's Inca Rail holds the remainder. Following the crash, Belmond sent a letter to Peru's Prime Minister's office blaming Carlyle's Inca Rail, claiming the train failed to stop at an assigned point, traveling approximately 400 meters through an unauthorized section of the track before the collision. 2 of the most powerful financial entities on Earth. 1 track, 1 conductor dead. The system around Machu Picchu isn't broken. It's working exactly as it was built to, extracting value from one of the most visited places on Earth and concentrating it into the hands of the people who already have it. The protests aren't chaos. They're the predictable result of a system that has no structural incentive to share what it generates. And while none of this has been resolved, Peru is 40% through construction of a new international airport designed to bring even more tourists directly into the Sacred Valley. But this is only one half of the story. Because in Peru, there's an entire informal economy surrounding tourism. An informal economy isn't a black market. It means unregistered. Businesses operating outside the formal system, not paying taxes, not reporting to the government. In Cusco, this isn't a fringe phenomenon. Informal businesses run the tourist industry, and understanding why tells you more about how Peru's tourism economy actually works than any official statistic. Between 2019 and 2022, informality in Cusco's tourism sector rose from 80% to 89%, according to Comex Peru, the Peruvian Foreign Trade Association, citing Mincetur data. The pandemic didn't create informality in Cusco. It deepened something that was already the dominant reality. Cusco's overall informality rate is 82.5%, making it one of Peru's most informal departments. Despite a decade of rising visitor numbers, tax collection in the region has not followed the same curve. The money moves through the economy, but the formal system doesn't capture it. A World Bank report found that approximately 43% of the value generated by Peru's hotel and restaurant sector comes from informal operators, compared to just 18% for the overall Peruvian economy. And the World Bank itself notes that comprehensive data on the full scale of tourism informality in Peru simply doesn't exist, suggesting the real figure is likely higher. When the formal system fails to invest in infrastructure and share what it generates, working outside of it becomes the rational choice. In 2025, more than 3,000 public projects across Cusco were stalled, in the same region that hosted over 1 million tourists at Machu Picchu. The growth in informality isn't despite the formal system, it's because of it.
¿Y qué crees que genera esta informalidad o tantos negocios pasar a ser la informal, de no tener que pagar impuestos?
Bueno, en sí, lo que causa la informalidad es la misma idiosincrasia de la gente, ¿no? Que la criollada peruana hace que tú no generes, que tú no pagues impuestos. Y como que te sale mucho más a cuenta el no pagar impuestos, ¿no? Soy una empresa, no pago impuestos, soy una persona de a pie, no pago impuestos, te recibo el dinero efectivo en sí, pero eso no genera que el gobierno pueda recaudar para hacer empresas, para hacer diferentes tipos de obras. Claro que lamentablemente también la corrupción hace que la gente diga, ¿por qué yo voy a pagar impuestos? Ellos no pagan, hay corrupción, no veo las cosas, y todo ese problema social, económico, hace que la gente pues sea informal.
¿Qué crees tú, bueno, como guía y empresario, que se podría hacer para promover que la gente pase a una economía formal, pase a querer hacer las cosas bien?
Eso es un poquito trabajo arduo, un trabajo de cambiar mucho el sistema. Creo que para que la gente vuelva a ser, comience a ser formal, es el hecho de qué es lo que tú recibes siendo formal. Tú pagas impuestos, ¿qué es lo que tú vas a recibir a cambio? Entonces hablaríamos de que sería mejorar el sistema de salud, tendrías que mejorar bastante el sistema de comunicaciones, el sistema de transporte. Y cuando tú pagas esos impuestos y tú ves que realmente tus impuestos están manifestados en obras, están manifestándose en crecimientos para beneficio de la población y beneficio tuyo, pues creo que la población se vería gratamente el hecho de pagar sus impuestos.
When you go off the beaten path a little, you can understand why so much of the Peruvian tourism industry is informal. We visited Macayacta, believed to be the birthplace of the Inca Empire. There was no infrastructure. A dirt road led to it with little to no signage. There was no one there waiting to take tickets. We went with the local girl who told us about the history. She was presenting a project to local government officials to advertise the ruins better. There was no formal economy there. Not because people didn't want one, because there wasn't even the opportunity for it. Sometimes, the informal economy operates out of need. So, here's the issue. A tourism system with crumbling infrastructure. A bus route monopoly, a train route duopoly, and a massive informal economy that exists to respond to it all. Before we get into what all of this costs, there's a few things this video couldn't get into. Peru doubled its own recommended daily visitor limit for Machu Picchu in 2024, and UNESCO has been warning for years that the site risks losing its World Heritage status. That's a whole video on its own. The New Seven Wonders Foundation cited a ticket black market when they threatened Machu Picchu's status. We couldn't verify it, so we left it out. And 45% of public projects started nationally since 2012 have been abandoned entirely. Combine that with the 3,000 projects stalled in Cusco, and the infrastructure issue runs much deeper than one video can get to. 1.5 million people visited Machu Picchu last year. We were among them. 1.2 million people live in the Cusco region. More tourists pass through there than people who call it home. And yet, poverty is rising. Malnutrition is widespread. The people who live here aren't seeing enough of what this place generates. If so many people come to visit here, then why is poverty rising? In the Cusco region, home to Machu Picchu, the The poverty rate stands at 18.5%, according to IPE. The same institute projected a 7% economic contraction for the region in 2025, a year when more people visited Machu Picchu than nearly any other year on record. According to the World Food Program, by 2024, more than half of all Peruvians face moderate to severe food insecurity. Nationally, chronic malnutrition affects 11.7% of children under 5. In rural areas, that figure rises to 24%, and in the Cusco region specifically, 14% of children suffer from chronic malnutrition, and 51% have anemia. So in a region that hosts over 1 million tourists a year, 14% of children are malnourished and more than half have anemia. Where is this money going? According to Machu Picchu District Mayor Elvis Latorre, only 10% of ticket revenue for Machu Picchu stays with the local community. The rest goes to the national government. But there is more to Peru than this, and the people from here want you to know that.
¿Y tienes un mensaje por el turista que viene acá?
Bueno, mi mensaje en general, sería que si tienen la oportunidad de venir acá a Machu Picchu, que es una de las 7 maravillas del mundo, traten de venir con las mejores vibras, traten de venir con la mejor energía, de tratar de disfrutar ese momento, porque no es cualquier lugar, es una de las 7 maravillas del mundo.
Sí.
Y si tú vienes con una mala energía, una mala vibra, ese buen momento tú lo mandas a la basura.
Claro.
Entonces, traten de venir con la mejor vibra, con la mejor energía, que ustedes son bienvenidos acá. Sean de la nacionalidad que sean, son muy bienvenidos aquí en Machu Picchu. Nosotros los peruanos somos unas personas bien amigables, más que todo bien amigables con los turistas extranjeros. Y si ustedes vienen con una buena vibra, nosotros los vamos a atender bonito. Eso sería mi consejo, más que nada, que vengan con las mejores vibras de acá. Así como nosotros nos generan economía acá, nosotros también nos respondemos con buena actitud aquí hacia ellos. Y es muy importante para nosotros también la presencia de ellos.
¿Qué le quisieras decir al turista que viene para acá a Cusco a conocer?
Cusco, en sí Perú, es un país tan maravilloso que tiene tanta riqueza, tanto natural, como también mucha historia. Somos un país mega diverso, tenemos más del 60% de todos los climas a nivel mundial, tenemos costa, sierra, selva. Simplemente en cuestión de 1 hora, hora y media, tú puedes estar en la costa, en la playa, puedes estar en la montaña, puedes estar en la selva. Entonces hace que toda la belleza paisajística que tú puedas tener solo en el viaje compense. Mucho más con eso es la cultura misma, que es una cultura viva, y una cultura que viene más de 4.000 años atrás, que todavía sigue adherida en la gente local. Cuando tú caminas vas a ver esa cultura viva y toda esa confluencia de culturas, toda esa migración de culturas que venimos ya desde años, hace que otro valor agregado, que es la comida. Es una comida muy diversa, muy rica, es como una explosión de sabores en tu paladar, hace que tu experiencia sea una de las mejores. Y dándole un plus muy aparte, es la calidez de la gente. No sé si ustedes se habrán dado cuenta, pero particularmente muchas personas acá te dicen que el peruano es muy amable.
Sí.
El peruano siempre está dispuesto para decirte, oye, ¿dónde es ese lugar? Ah, mira, puedes ir por acá, puedes hacer esto. Muy aparte de que esté el peruano de a pie. Entonces eso le da un plus a que tú puedas tener una experiencia inolvidable, ¿no? Y eso es parte de lo que es Perú.
Los planos también están ahí, ¿no?
Peru is a beautiful country. Incredible nature, ruins dating back to one of the world's most famous empires, endless things to see and do. But go with your eyes open. There are people here who don't get to experience the same Peru that tourists do, and they should be able to. The system isn't broken. As this video has tried to show, it is working exactly as it was built to. And as our last video showed, the political systems that govern Peru have made that change nearly impossible. The people of Peru deserve better.
Oye, bonito.
Y la parte
This is the best thing ever.
Les deseo la mejor de las vibras y suerte en todo, chicos.
Francis, muchas gracias.
Ok.